to quote a great man, Sid Texero,
Here we go.
it is over. Canada wins 3-1 over Norway. Carey Price allowing the one goal to, of course, Mathis Olim, who we were only hoping to contain. That came 22 seconds into the third period of play. Once again, the final from the Bolshoi Ice Palace, as Sixers Harold called it, because he thought Luzhniki Ice Palace was everything.
It's always Luzhniki to me. We got Nick Kyprios in the building. We have Chris Johnson on the line. Chris doesn't have a ton of time, but he is in Sochi. Darren Millard in the it's all
you know
happening.
it's happening when.
All right, let's get Chris on here. How you doing, Chris?
I am good, gentlemen. How are you?
I'm good. Chris, do we need to respect ball hockey more than we did?
No, I think that was absurd. But what I did help out this team, I do believe, is getting more skates in here. Since arriving in Sochi, that's more than they have in the past Olympics. And while it was far from a perfect game, I think that the second period we saw them play was as near to perfect as you can have. And the fact they're capable of that level right now, I think, should be encouraging in the big picture moving forward.
Nick Kyprios in studio as well. Chris, Darren Millard attempting to do something with a tie. I'm not sure what he's
trying
doing.
to do his best Brian Burke now.
It's just it's quite the show in here right now, Chris. It's quite something.
You got a full house going on.
Yeah.
Oh,
what did you take from today, Chris?
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see who sits out among the forwards tomorrow, because really the three guys I would have looked at as being possibilities entering this game was Martin St. Louis, Patrice Bergeron, and Jamie Benn. Clearly, Ben won't be sitting. I thought he was very impactful with his minutes, and the other two guys weren't so bad as well. So, maybe it's a case of they had a plan and they'll stick to it. But it'll be very interesting to see who has to sit down tomorrow with Matt Duchene coming back in against Austria.
Hey, Chris, we're not going to start the why didn't Canada win 8-0 conversation after this game.
It's a good point. It's a good point. Well, Chris, why didn't they win 8-0?
Well, because these guys can play, they can skate, and they're organized. And I think it takes some time for Canada to get organized. So, I'm not going to be having that conversation. I don't think there was any issue with the way things went down today. There was no moment where I thought really that Norway was going to win this game. And again, I do think it takes a little bit of time. For Canada to go. You don't just win 10-0 just because of the names on your backs, when you go out in an ice in a game like this.
But we all know, all five of us here know that Canada is going to be having that conversation today, aren't they?
Well, you guys can rage on. I'm going to talk to the players and figure out what actually happened.
All right, well, go talk to him. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it, Chris.
Okay, boys. Have a good show.
There is Chris Johnston from Sochi, at Reporter Chris. Follow him on Twitter. He's going to go down and talk to the boys. Let's do a proper introduction. Nick Kyprios, Darren Millard in studio. How are you, boys?
Hey, I asked the guys the question on Hockey Central and what's an acceptable result today? Not a prediction, but an acceptable result. And both Nick, Doug, and Morrison were in there and saying
I didn't score. I didn't give you an 8-0.
No, but you
9-1.
expected more than 3 goals.
You know what?
I don't care.
I think Chris said it. That there's another team there. They've improved probably their program over the last 4 years. You saw them line up as best they could, 4 or 5 guys across. They collapsed. For me, I got a lot out of watching that blue line for Team Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I sit there and go, okay, if these horses are going, I don't see another country that can even touch these guys from the back end. And like Drew Doughty, the bomb by Weber, come on. There's no other country that can touch that. To me, that's a great sign. The score doesn't bother me so much. It really doesn't. What did they outshoot them in the second period? 9-0?
38-20 was the final,
Right.
and it was 14-2 in the second
14-2
period.
The ice
in the
was
second.
tilted in the first half of the second
But
period.
you didn't see finish. And you got Shea Weber's
They
goal.
played earlier. It was 8-4.
And that was 8-4. And they did.
Yeah, they did.
Shea Weber's goal was a seeing eye shot.
They had some good looks, Darren. They had some good looks. I thought Jeff Carter had some good looks.
I didn't think Jeff Carter was very
Nash.
good today.
He had 2 or 3 really good looks. If he scores a goal, nobody questions it.
Shot
Sydney
totals weren't
set him
there.
up a couple times.
Jeff Carter had 1 shot through 2 periods. And Mike Babcock said if he's not firing it every chance he gets, then he won't be with them very long. I'll be curious to see.
Yeah.
They had the lines jumbled up a little bit throughout this game, and you do that with an extra forward.
I don't sense a panic for line changing after this game.
Well, give you an idea, because I was watching the game over Sid's head in the glass here, which you can kind of see, but it's not. How often did they juggle the lines? How often did you see?
Well, Ben had a
deviations?
skate lace go in the first period,
Right.
so there were some different looks there. But yeah, you saw a few different combinations and a couple of different wrinkles on the power play.
Doughty, the best
And
guy.
Marty
in the ice?
St. Louis got in there. I thought probably even more than I would have thought.
Yeah.
As a 13 forward.
So what does Babcock see today in that? However you deem what we just saw, what does he see in that that's cemented? That he goes, okay, either those two or those three or that guy in the crease, this is probably it going forward.
I would say what
anything
Nick
cemented
commented
today?
on was not necessarily the defense pushing the puck up the ice, but how involved they were in the offensive zone. That was really impressive. That kind of drove the whole engine.
It really did, for sure. And again, it's a catch-22 for Norway or whatever team. You want to collapse. And listen, it's not necessarily that you want to collapse that much, but when you look on the ice and you see Corey Perry here, you see Rick Nash here, it's just a natural tendency to sit there and go, I don't want to get burned by these guys. You can't have it both ways. You can't watch the bottom three guys below the hash marks and then show a ton of respect to Doughty or Weber on the back end. You almost have to choose. It was clear what Norway wanted to do, and that was collapse and protect the goaltender as much as you can. And that's why it appeared that those guys had so much room today. And that's the way you're going to have to now move forward against Canada. It's like pick your poison.
What is the goal hitting the ice in 2 games versus Norway and Austria? Like, what are you looking for from the team?
Chemistry.
Is that it? I mean, you want the
Chemistry and some
W's,
finish.
obviously,
Yeah.
but
I think some confidence with putting the puck in the net and some chemistry among your lines.
and some confidence in the goalie.
Yeah, you know what? It's just a get to know period. It really is. It's off ice. It's on ice. It's just how quickly can we come together as a team. And we had Chris Pronger on Hockey Central at noon talking about 2006. He said it never happened. It never happened for whatever reason. There's no cohesiveness. There is nothing. There's no chemistry. We just couldn't get it going. And that's what they're trying to do here. Is establish at least that the guys build something in these first couple of games. And I don't know. I mean, Carey Price looked okay to me. Didn't look spectacular. He didn't need to be spectacular. There was the one mishap on the goal where he leaves the puck back for Pietrangelo. He thinks he's going to actually pass it to him instead of just leaving it there. And Price never recovers for Norway's only goal. I mean, that would probably bother me a little bit as a coaching staff, but no sense to kind of make a bigger deal out of it than it was. But those are the things that you want to get rid of.
Are those the little things in terms of
by game 2 or game 3?
like not doing that enough in North America with the trapezoid and all? Like, does that lead to a mistake like that on the goal?
Not in this particular play, because the puck was directly behind the net, and that is strictly a lack of communication. That is. And Price has got his back on Pietrangelo. It's not even like he's facing up and there was like you got it, I got it thing. There was none of that. It was just lack of making your eyes your ears, your ears your eyes, as they say.
And now the defense has to get used to a new goaltender tomorrow. In a lot of ways, when I don't know what signals you used, Kippy, what kind of communication your teams use, but I'm sure that it's unique in every different team. Subban, Carey Price would have. Would have
in that instance,
so play
it's just
it, leave it, little one.
Exactly. Move
backhand,
it. Move it.
And it obviously wasn't there on that play.
Darren Millard, Nick Kiprios in studio with TIm Sid. It is a final 3-1 Canada over Norway. When you host Hockey Central today and you guys break this down, Darren, what's the lead? What's the takeaway?
I would say the defense.
Yeah.
So
does that mean PK
Drew
is
Doughty's
in?
play? I think PK automatically goes in.
Yeah.
But I think what you saw would be comforting in the sense that maybe you won't need as much from PK if you can get that type of performance out and initiative out of that blue line.
Mac
I would
was a
say that was the
concern.
positive.
And listen, I mean, I could totally jinx them, but I never saw the concern that Doug McLean saw for generating offense. I look at a guy like Drew Doughty now with his Stanley Cup and his gold medal from Vancouver, and I'm like, he's the perfect now kind of go-to guy. Him and Duncan Keith, right? And between now, it's like, I know it's early, but now you've established something with that core group on the back end. You don't necessarily want to now have PK come in and maybe lose some of the rhythm that they've found this early.
Well, if that's the case,
right?
then why change goaltenders?
See, that's the interesting thing now. You've told Roberto, okay, you're going in tomorrow.
I know. But it's a different beast, guys. I'm telling you, the goalies are a different beast.
Can you do that to Roberto?
No, I think Roberto will.
I think Roberto has to go.
You can't because you may need him. You may need him. And let's face it, I mean, he's a talented goalie. He's got a great record over his career, and he's been one of the better players. But you question his mental toughness. And if he doesn't get a start in the first 2 or 3 games here, and you may have to go to him in a quarterfinal match, you got to be careful with that.
He stepped in before in tough situations. The World Cup, he filled in for Martin Brodeur and played a great game.
Well, and he plays in the city
where
younger and less established in his mind, anyways. So this is not a young kid anymore. This is a guy that he considers himself one of the top goalies in the league.
It's the old line is check your ego at the door, right? And Wayne Gretzky quoted that today on Hockey Central at noon. But he also followed it up with, that's a lot easier said than done. And I thought, coming from the world's best player, who's always thought of as the great team guy, him saying that means that it's really difficult for these guys just to go, okay, I'll fold the towels. Well, you know what? Good on the Gilmore yesterday in speed skating to do it, but you're dealing with these professional athletes, and
you're not trained to pass the buck. And I appreciate the Gilmore kid, I really do. And on face value, I get all of that. But you didn't train all this time and work your ass off so you can pass it on to another guy and get the job done. You want to be in there. And that's no different than Gilmore, PK, all of them. They want to play. They're elite athletes. They train for that. They didn't train so people can one day announce them at a banquet 20 years from now and say, and from the 2014 Olympics in Sochi, the nice guy.
Well, to be fair to Gilmore, his best distance was the 500, and he gave up a spot in the 1,000.
I know. Hey, listen.
Breaking down speed.
I get it. I get it. I know it was nice, but that guy wants his own medal.
I'll be curious to see what PK does tomorrow, having watched how active this blue line was.
It still works. It's an 83-point inspection of your Ford. For only how much?
And seeing whether or not he comes out and tries to force it or lets the game come to him.
No, I think he's smart enough, Darren. I really do. And I think that I've watched enough of him in Montreal, and you could make the argument that after winning the Norris that he would have come out this season and forced it, right? Just to make sure that everybody's crystal clear that he is a Norris Trophy winner and he's ready to go to another level of bond.
I'm not questioning his hockey intelligence. I'm wondering he's going to be so amped up.
I don't think he'll try to be something that is outside of what's good enough for Team Canada. I don't see him trying to one up anybody and trying to prove something. I think he'll come in and he'll be like Marty St. Louis. You just come in, make sure you're responsible, make sure you don't turn the puck over or high percentage plays and that's it.
So who are the two guys who come out for Duchesne and PK?
I would anticipate St. Louis and Hamhuis.
Yeah, Hamhuis did hardly saw time today.
No. It's already been said. It's pretty much a done deal. I'd be shocked if it's not.
Hockey Central boys in here helping us out with the TIm and Sid post-game show, and they will take their reactions to the television side in a few moments. But I look at this, and there's a lot of ink being spilt on PK Subban in this situation. Was sitting him out game one just that Gretz was so good with you guys earlier today. Head to the podcast, go find it. Wayne Gretzky, I think
Maybe in the
everyone knows who
brotherhood
he
to use
is.
Gretz.
He was amazing. And check your, I'm not in the brotherhood, by the way. Check your ego at the door. Was that a test of PK Subban?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think
mean,
so. We disagree on this, but he's the Norris Trophy winner. That's got to give you some currency to get into the lineup in the opening game of the Winter Olympics.
The question was his
honestly,
ego. Let's call it what it is, right?
If we go into, I got to get outside the first two easy games before I totally read into anything. And PK gets the next start. Like, he's in the lineup tomorrow against Austria. So,
which should be a tougher opponent.
I think.
Although Austria got peppered with shots.
I think there's
today
a chance that you read into the message sending beyond game 2. I don't see it the first 2 games. Maybe I'm wrong, but
everybody gets.
I think everybody's in
ribbon the first 2 games.
Oh, I know about the participation ribbon.
Is Dan Hamhuis better than PK Subban? Is Mark-Edward Vlasic better than PK Subban?
They're
Is
older.
Jay Bouwmeester better than PK Subban? No.
With those,
no.
That's why people are reading into it.
But
Nick.
I know, but it's not that simple. It's just not about whose skill level is higher. It's just how do you
It's the
fit,
Olympic Winter Games.
It's how you fit into the team concept, and it's left-handed and right-handed shots are a big thing here. They are. They've established that, and you'd never trade Hamhuis for PK Subban. I'd never trade PK for Bouwmeester, but in the scope of what they're trying to do, it's right where it probably should be.
I think dangling it in front of PK and Matt Duchene for that reason. I think it's kind of smart.
The young guys,
the 2 youngest guys on the
in
team.
all honesty,
bingo, get them hungry. Let them go out there tomorrow. And listen, those blue lines are tighter, Nick. You get a guy like PK who can beat a guy one-on-one.
If you have,
that's invaluable.
But if you have Drew Doughty, if you have Shea Weber, if you have Duncan Keith, if you have these guys now in a position to provide offense and jump in those holes, it's like we don't need another guy like that. We need maybe a shutdown guy, a guy that plays the percentages a little better than PK. I mean, that's what comes into the equation. You go to PK and you give him more responsibility when a guy like Doughty can't get it done.
Well, we'll see how aggressive they can be in the offensive zone against more talented offensive players. And Austria does that. Finland will do that.
If they don't get the job done, if it looks like they're stifled, if it looks like they don't have good movement on the power play, then you look more to PK Subban. But right now, it just seems like he's the extra offensive guy that right now. And I know it's Norway, and I know it's early, but
right. They didn't need him today. I guess they did.
You don't anticipate it until you get into that kind of, I don't know, a Luongo mop-up role, maybe. I don't know.
It's so interesting because, I mean, I could see it from the limited amount that I was able to watch. You guys talked the defense and their contributions to the offense was invaluable today, and yet they only scored 3 goals against Norway, right? Drew Doughty looked like, to me, the best player on the ice.
Yeah. I thought Pietrangelo had some good looks, too.
Yeah,
he had some good looks, too, and he's not scared to come off that blue line and bust down the right side on a one-timer.
You saw a lot of that today.
These guys have that ability. So, again, are you better off having a guy like Vlasic covering up on the backside, Bouwmeester, who's, always plays against teams' top players defensively? You don't necessarily want to throw a bit of that rhythm off.
How much of since we're talking about defensemen, I know Patrick Sharp with Duncan Keith was a standard, at least during most of practice over there. How much did you see that on the first power play, and what did you guys make of it?
They came on for the second unit.
Well, they were second unit.
They played the defense, the forward on the blue line on the power play in the second unit.
Okay.
So it looks like they're going to try it. I'm surprised. I really am at that competition that you would risk that.
Especially,
but Sharp's used to it. It's not
but you're right.
New for him.
It's going to take that one time.
One time
he gets burned.
Yeah.
But it's not like they don't do it in Chicago. But I mean, This is just It's a little different here. You get beat. The blue lines are in. There's not as much space. I mean, it's wider, but it's tighter.
You're getting pressured faster on that blue line.
I don't know, in all honesty, when the games matter, I don't know if we'll see it. But I think it's for them, it's nice to know that it's an option if, in fact, they got a gut feeling to go back to it. I don't think we'll see a consistent look at this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's more of a card that you may want to play somewhere down when you think you need it, because you look at that blue line with those guys already, and they're all quarterbacks. They're all got great shots from the back end, and
it's not something where you look at the blue line and go, you know what, they're missing that guy.
No,
that can create some offense back there.
You guys got to do some TV.
Kipper's. You guys haven't talked about the one thing that Kipper was really upset about.
What's that, Kipper?
Game.
What's that?
Can we talk about it after the break, or do you guys have to go
I'll
somewhere?
just mention. Well, we can
tease it, and we'll stay for a little bit.
Kipper was really upset about something.
All right,
When watching Team Canada.
We got a story.
Wasn't his jacket? Was it?
No.
Okay, good.
You liking the Canada Goose?
Someone thought it was a Costanza jacket on Twitter, and
His was red, was it not?
Yes, it was.
This was red.
Well, I'm working on a big Sportsnet Canada Goose deal, so
There you go.
Well,
pumping up Canada Goose.
Looks like Mac's not the other one wheeling and dealing.
Well, I'll shut up now because I wouldn't mind getting it in. All right, we'll take the break, come back with the boys from Hockey
Scratch
Central.
Tim off the Canada Goose list.